your failures will teach you more than any successes. And you need to start to see failure as a positive thing and a part of your learning, a very important part of getting better. And rather than seeking out success, rather seek out the failures to get to that success. Because being successful in business, being successful in fitness, or any area of your life means that you're going to have to go through these necessary failures to get there. Most people aren't perfect. That's not me. That's probably not you. And over time, you just have to do the things and basically make the mistakes to get to that point that you'll eventually get to. And a lot of people in society, because I guess the way that we've kind of been brought up, they see mistakes as this bad thing, but they're only bad if you don't learn from those mistakes. They're only bad if you made your first mistakes on an exam, if that's the actual exam that counts, rather than 5 or 10 practice exams beforehand. Because in those practice exams, the mistakes aren't important, right? The mistakes, in fact, more beneficial because you can learn from those, and then eventually learning from those mistakes will get you to do better on that final exam. And in a similar way, in business, the mistakes you're making at first, they're going to help build you into, I guess, the person that is required to run a successful business. Because most people, they will be making mistakes, and you kind of have to go through that process of learning. But a big reason why people kind of just stagnate, a big reason why people just don't want to do things is because they're afraid of failing. But it doesn't matter if you fail, because in most cases you can make up for it. You can basically grow from that experience and do even better in the future. There have been so many instances in the past where, if you think about famous people who have failed terribly early on in life, but then later went on to become successful. And you want to start to see this failure as a good thing and see it truly as a way to actually improve, and rather than just a hit to your ego. So trying to not let it get to you personally, and not trying to make the failure don't internalize the failure and be like, oh shit, I'm a failure because I didn't quite get into this thing, or I didn't quite make it, or I didn't quite succeed in the same way. Be like, okay, well, how can I learn from this? Or what can I learn from this? And then using that is so much more beneficial. And you want to make that mindset shift, because if you always live your life afraid of failing, then you're never going to do anything. You're going to be too scared. And paradoxically, I guess, because you don't do anything, you're going to fail anyways. So you may as well just fail by trying rather than fail by not trying. And if you're young, then failing doesn't matter as much. You can grow from it. You can actually, you have the runway to make these failures and then make up for them later on. So start a business, or start working at this new place, or trying to get to some position, try and do some important tests to help you get to a better place financially, or get more qualified. It's better to just go and try it out, to fail. If you don't make it in, just try again. If you don't want to do that same part, then pivot to something else. But you'll learn very valuable lessons from these failures. And you have to stop having this expectation that everything is going to work in a linear way. Just because you try isn't going to mean you're going to be successful straight away. You're going to have to try and fail, try and then fail, and then probably do that about 10 to 20 times, or maybe even 100 times. And eventually you're going to succeed in a massive way. And everything falls on this learning curve. And I'll try and get an image up so that you guys can see this too. But you expect your progress to be linear in this straight line, but it's not linear. It's this curve instead. And then your expectations don't meet reality for a really long time. And then afterwards they exceed your expectations. They go above and beyond. But then, you have to push past that thing called the valley of disappointment, which is where they don't align, where your expectations aren't quite where your results are. So you're doing the work, but you're not seeing the results. You're doing the work, but you're not seeing the results. You're going to the gym, 2 days, don't see anything. You go to the gym for a month. You don't really see that much. You don't see newbie gains if you're brand new to it, but you don't really see that much. You go to the gym for 6 months. Now you're seeing a little bit. You go to the gym for a year. You're seeing a lot more. You go into the gym for 2 years, and now your physique is amazing. You look really good because, you've built out that frame for your body, whether that's men or women, both of you guys. And it's okay. And it's okay. Your first business, it'll probably flop, but because of that and learning from those mistakes, your second one or your third one might be highly successful and might be the reason you become financially free. Your first YouTube video is going to suck. My first YouTube video really, really sucked. I don't know if it's still up there, but if you can see it, it's iPhone quality camera, iPhone an iPhone 8 quality camera, like no proper microphones. You're hearing like all the background noise and like hearing the voice bounce out from like the different walls in the room. It was not good. But because I made had those failures, or made those incremental failures and learned from those failures, I've gotten to a point where I can build it up to like where it is today. It's still not where I want it to go, but it's definitely a lot higher than where it was previously. And there's something else I just have to mention, which is something called tutorial help. So a lot of people, they go and they educate themselves, or they over educate themselves on before they take action. So I was talking to somebody recently. I was like trying to help them out with like starting out a business, and they were like, "Oh, I think I should like find a mentor first." And then I was like, "Oh, you don't need a mentor. You can just start, right? You can just learn and kind of iterate as you go along." And he was just like, "Man, but I'm like worried. I don't know what to do." It's like, it's okay. You can just learn on the way. So, like a lot of people, they're in this tutorial hell where they either are looking for ways to kind of prepare for making that change, prepare for doing the right things that they know are going to get them successful, but not actually doing it. So this could be like, you're reading books about business, but you haven't started your own, right? It's okay for a time, but if it's been 5 years and you're still reading books and you haven't really started a business, even though your intentions were to, then that's tutorial hell. You're just stuck in the tutorial section of a game. You haven't actually started the real game. And if you actually go ahead and start something, then you'll learn so much better from real life experiences than some textbook, than some like book that someone wrote that's like probably 20 years out of date anyways. Like let's say, me learning Muay Thai, like in one of the gyms in my area. I had to go into the ring and spar different people, and obviously they were better than me because I was just starting out. But because I put myself in a position where I was sparring people way better than me, that I was training with people who've like had multiple fights, or who, one of them was like, I think, state champ of like New South Wales for like one particular like weight class. I learned so much more than if I were just to like practice. So like watch some videos on like how to throw jabs, how to throw crosses in different combinations. Like me actually going in and sparring and actually doing those things and like failing faster helped me learn faster. Because it's through kind of getting your ass kicked that you kind of improve your martial arts. Because you kind of learn like, okay, you like learn different patterns and things, and you kind of learn how important it is to stay disciplined with cardio. And that's like an analogy you can apply to business, an analogy you can apply to like any other area of your life as well. You're going to be really bad at something, and you may as well be really, really bad at it at the start, and just go through those like steps of being bad at it, and then eventually you'll be good. And you just have to try and conceptualize being bad as a good thing, because you have to be bad to then be really good at something. It's a bit like when we start a video game, we're like the lowest level, the most basic bosses are challenging to us, but we have to go through that and build ourselves up, just like a video game character, to get to a point where, we can defeat these like really powerful bosses, and we become like super overpowered. But we have to go through that terrible bad area where like just simple things become really difficult, at least at first. So actually enjoy that process. Enjoy like knowing that you're in the beginning of like a compound interest curve, of like an exponential curve. And the sooner you start it, the sooner you go through like the bad part, and the sooner you reach like the really amazing like peak, essentially. And you start improving much faster than you thought, and this life just gets better and better and better, and just beyond your expectations.